much for clicking on this video. Hope you're having an awesome day. Thanks for taking some time every day to hang out with me. Today's video is another collab with Jami Brumfield. I know September we have a jam-packed schedule. Her and I have been talking a lot, just going back and forth about a bunch of ideas, and I'm always like, yeah, that sounds good. Let's try this. Let's do that. So it has just been so much fun collabing with her on all these different ideas. I think that this is going to be the most challenging collab for me up to date because we are doing a goddess inspired look. At first I was thinking leaning more on the gold side of things, but I recently picked up the Melt 420 palette and I figured it's this palette's time to shine with these really nice grungy colors. And I just did my Falling in Love collab using the Juvia's Nomad palette. I figured that I could test out this palette, create a look, and also do some comparison swatches because I think there are some similar shades amongst both palettes and I just need a visual to see. I will leave my collabs playlist to watch previous collabs. And if you're visiting from Jami's channel, welcome. Thank you so much for checking me out. I hope you subscribe and give this video a like before you leave. Foundation's on, brows are filled in. Let's start with some swatches. I haven't even touched this palette on the eyes yet. I just swatched it on the haul when I reviewed the Nomad palette when it was released last year's when I did swatches, so it's overdue for some swatches. Even though we are doing comparison swatches, this is a dedicated video to this palette, so it's always nice to see what the swatches look like to see what we're working with, and this is what the 420 palette looks like. Shotgun, Faded, Chronic, Roll It, Dank. So sorry about this one looking a little off at the top. I realized I was getting too close to that one. That's why there is that little faded mark towards it, but it does seem to trail towards the end as well. Blunt, Shatter, Wax, Full Melt, Hash. And this is the 420 palette swatched. After swatching this palette, I just literally played with the Rust palette last night. I have a dedicated video coming up with that palette, and I have to say that the mattes do feel a little bit more dry in the 420 palette than the Rust palette. The Rust palette was super creamy, and then this shimmer looks more like a topper, so I'm a little sad about that since that's the only shimmer shade in this palette. Might have to dip into some other palettes, which is totally fine to grab shimmer shades to complement the look. And now Nomad swatches. And this is Nomad swatch next to 420. So I think there are some similar shades amongst the palette. They are quite different from each other. We have some yellows. This one is more of like a rich true yellow, where this one definitely has that lime green color to it. I think I like this green more than the one in 420. Have some similar brown shades and then like these orangey shades. Personally, I love both brands. I'm obsessed with the Juvia's Place Nomad palette. It is definitely one of my go-to palettes for fall. I'm really hoping that the 420 palette works out for me. I have realized that Melt formula can vary between each palette. I really like how Rust and Myrte performs, and I'm a little afraid that 420 is going to perform a little bit like Millennial Pinks. 420 you get 10 shades and it's closer to $60, whereas Nomad you get 9 shades and it's closer to $20, so there is a price difference amongst both palettes. That's just something to consider, which one might be more budget friendly, or it might break down to which formula do you prefer more. To kick off this look, I'm going to take the shade Chronic, and there is a lot of kick up in the pan when you dip your brush into the shade. I'm just going to start things off right here. So far, I think that this shade is looking really nice, just slapping it on. Hopefully it's not going to be patchy. That's my only concern right now. It definitely looks to be a little bit more amplified when you have primer on as opposed to your bare arm. And it is being applied with the brush as opposed to your finger. Next, I'm going to take Faded to diffuse out the crease. I was torn between taking Faded or Wax, but I wasn't sure if the yellow was going to soil it. Actually, this is actually picking up a little bit more yellow than green than I anticipated, so this actually might work out. Let's see what Shatter can do on the lids. It's a gorgeous shade, but I feel like I'm either going to have to spray, yeah, that ain't gonna work, spray or apply with my finger. I'm gonna be here forever. At what point do I just give up and go to a different shade? I'm gonna add some eyeliner to my lid and waterline. I'm gonna take Roll It to smoke out the lower lash. I'm gonna dip into ColourPop's Flexitarian for the inner corners. For lashes, I'm gonna take these Zola lashes in the style Next. I'm going to pass on bronzer, but I'm going to take this Ofra blush. This is in collaboration with Samantha March in the shade Chiclet. Swirl it together and apply heavily. I really want a nice dramatic blush for this look. Also by Ofra and in collaboration with Samantha March, this is the Start Inspired highlighter. And swirl the two together. I am going to add a touch of glitter. At first I wasn't sure if I should do it like up here or what, but I'm going to be taking the sorority approach that we have done during recruitment, just kind of like a half infinity symbol. And if you watched my Euphoria makeup look, I'm taking the same glitter that I used for the glitter tears. Guess I didn't even need the highlighter. Again, I wasn't sure how this was going to turn out. And then for lips, I'm going to take the ColourPop lipstick in the shade Slow Dance. And this is the final look. I am really excited how the glitter turned out. I wish I had some of those like press-on jewels to do it instead, but I think the glitter was a nice substitute. For the 420 palette, I like the matte shades a lot. I was really surprised how well Chronic looked and blended out. I didn't run into issues of it being patchy. I think Faded was really stunning just above it, but it makes me wonder how Shotgun is going to show up because of how Faded blended out. It made me think that that's what Shotgun was going to look like. Roll It on the lower lash, I really liked how that blended out. It was a super pigmented matte for sure. And then Shatter on the lid, I definitely had to resort to applying with my finger as opposed to a brush. I did not try wetting it, but I was there for like a good 10 to 15 minutes getting it on both of my eyes. So that shade was a little bit disappointing, but I kind of anticipated that based on the swatch because it is more of a topper than a true shimmer. I would love to know if you guys were to create a goddess look, what approach would you have taken? There are so many different looks. I am a sucker for green eyeshadow. Yellow is growing on me and the two shades really paired nice together, and it gave me an excuse to finally use the Melt 420 palette. I'm excited to see what Jami came up with for her goddess look. Her video will be linked in the description box to check out. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and if you don't, I appreciate your view anyways, and I'll see you in the next video.